and this is my podcast, which I have named Stop, Drop, and Knit. So I know last time I ended up, of course, having a name because I decided what I was going to do. But I was talking about not knowing what I was going to name this podcast during my first podcast. So obviously it now has a name, and I thought I would tell you really quick why I chose that name. I really usually stink at naming things. But as I was thinking of what I wanted to call this thing, I don't know, I wanted to incorporate both knitting and spinning somehow. And so I stumbled on, I was trying a few different things, and then I was thinking, okay, drop spindle, and then, it just came to me like stop, drop, and knit, because so drop has to do with the drop spindle that I pulled out last time, and there you go. So that's what I came up with, and I actually really like it. So first things first, thank you so much to the 32 of you who have subscribed so far, to the nearly 200 people who actually sat and watched my first episode. I was kind of thinking, who's gonna want to sit and hear me talk about my knits? But almost 200 of you so far do, and so that is like super exciting to me. The first episode went off like way better than I ever could have dreamed. So I know, it doesn't seem like a lot, 30 subscribers, but when you're just starting out, it's everything. Even just one subscriber is everything. So yeah, so I'm absolutely thrilled. So thank you. And if you're returning from that first episode, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're just joining me, I hope that you'll stick around and just go with me on this journey. I was hoping to be able to record outside today, but Mother Nature is not being incredibly cooperative these past few days, and tomorrow's going to be Saturday, which means even though it'll be sunnier, Owen will be home from school, and it's just so much more difficult to get things done in a quiet environment when there's a 5, soon to be 6-year-old boy in the house. So I wanted to get this recorded while he was in school still, so that I had time to edit it and get it up for you over the weekend. So, all right. I guess the first thing that I want to talk to you guys about today is what I am wearing. So this is the Love Note by Tin Can Knits, and I'm gonna stand up because I wanted you guys to see I knit the cropped version. So they've got 2 different lengths that you can choose from for this. And this is called the Love Note because this beautiful, cute, cheeky little lace pattern forms all of these little hearts, and it is so cute. So I decided to knit the cropped length, which with a high-low hem. So they give you a bunch of different options. Like you can knit it cropped with like a regular hem all the way across. You can knit it a longer length sweater with an asymmetrical length like I did, a high-low hem, or just all one length hem. So you really can customize this however you like. I'm just gonna get close. I have the yarn with me, but I just wanted to get close to show you this gorgeous color of the yarn. Now, nice close up of my boobs there for you all. But so I don't, I've got some. There we go. That shows the variety really well. I think that right there. So there's just all these different shades of red and pink, and it is just so gorgeous. So I'm gonna sit back down and I'm going to tell you about the yarn that I used. And now I finished this in March, right before quarantine. It was like the last thing that I finished. So I think I cast it on in February of 2020, and this was a really, really quick knit. So what you do, let me find my leftovers here, because I have leftovers. So there'll be a little bit of crinkling. I apologize for that. I brought up a bunch of yarn for the things that I wanted to show you, but I store all of my yarn in plastic bags just to help protect it from little wool eating monsters. So, yeah. All right, so this yarn is incredibly gorgeous. I don't know, I just want to find the label for each of these. I guess I don't really need it for each. All right, so that's the singles, and then this is the mohair. Perfect, I got one for each. Okay, so when there's my clock, sorry. When I was looking at this sweater, I didn't have any mohair in my stash at all. This is actually the first mohair knit that I have ever made, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last. I still don't have mohair in my stash, which means if I knit with mohair again, I'm going to have to acquire. I think I have like one other mohair that I have since purchased. That is kind of set aside possibly for a specific sweater, but I'm not sure. So obviously I had to buy mohair, which meant that I had to make a yarn purchase. I mean, you know, you gotta do what you've gotta do sometimes to knit all the beautiful things. So I decided one night I popped on Brooklyn General store. Now I live in New York, but I've been to Brooklyn, but I've never been to any of the knit shops in Brooklyn. It's kind of like on my wish list of things to do one of these days. I'm so close, and I'll probably end up moving away before I ever get to do it. But Brooklyn General has an amazing online shop, and they carry La Bien-Aimée, and this is Brooklyn General's signature color. So that means this is only available through Brooklyn General. You can shop La Bien-Aimée from her website, but you're not going to be able to get it from Paris. You'll actually only be able to get this from Brooklyn. So if you love this color, I'm going to come a little bit closer here. So I've got my computer chair. So this is the mohair. This is called Bloodroot Red. Bloodroot Red. So this is also outside of my comfort zone. I am a purple person. I don't buy red. So this is what this looks like up close. And this is also like how much I have left. So what I did was I bought two of each of these, and I have almost a complete mohair skein left. So I think I used 1.1 skeins of the mohair, and then I used 1.5 skeins of the singles. So this is the merino singles in the blood red, and this is the silk mohair. Both La Bien-Aimée, both blood red, only available from Brooklyn General. Just to be clear, because this color is amazing. So yeah, I think part of the reason that I decided to go with this color was because of the name of the sweater. It was Love Note, and I cast it on early February, so I was in like a Valentine's Day state of mind, and just thought that it would be really romantic. And can I just tell you how much I love this color on me? I never would have thought that red would be a good color for me. So I guess at least this shade of red is great. So I'm actually incredibly pleased. I don't remember what size I knit or with what ease, but I do know that I did the cropped version. I probably did either the small or the medium size. I want to say probably medium, because I was having a habit of always choosing the smallest size, because before I had a baby, almost 6 years ago, I was like always the smallest size and everything. And that just got stuck in my head that I'm just always the smallest size. So I would just always knit the smallest size. And then I started realizing that the smallest size was too small for me. I was not any longer the smallest size. And that was okay, but I needed to get very honest with myself about yardage requirements and what I actually really did need to knit a sweater that would fit little me, who is not as little, I'm still little, but not as little as I was before I had a baby, which is totally normal. You go through all that trouble to knit a sweater, and it takes forever, and you want it to fit, and you want it to look good. So you want, and everything has positive ease these days, or, you can knit with positive ease. So I just finally got with the program and started knitting up 1 or 2 sizes, and have been so much happier with how things have been fitting me. So now I need to figure out what I'm gonna knit with the rest of this. So the reason I have so much more left of the mohair than of the singles is that there's just a difference in the yardage that comes with this. So the singles, let me see if it says on here, is 400 yards, 100 grams, and it's 400 yards, and it's 100% superwash merino. And the silk mohair has 547 yards. So that's quite a significant difference. So that's why, I have so much. So 2 skeins of the mohair gave me quite a bit more yardage than 2 skeins of this, which is why there's a discrepancy in how much I have left over. So, I think that is, whoops, I'm dropping things. Probably just continue to drop things. That is everything that I have to say about my Love Note sweater. I've got a few pictures in outdoor lighting. I was really hoping to be able to show you the sweater with outdoor lighting, but it's all misty out there. So which is almost kind of more annoying than like rain, because it's like, it looks like it's not raining and you think you can go outside and do things, and then there's just a mist. And and I did my hair for the podcast, and I've got to teach later, so I didn't want to sit out in the mist. But I do have a few really nice photos that my husband took of me when I finished the sweater, so I will insert those here so that you guys can just see what it looks like in sunlight. And as always, on my Ravelry, I am pretty good about posting lately my finished objects and all my photos and stuff. So if you want to get more, I checked, I put the yarn and everything, but I didn't put what size I knit. So probably small or medium. So my Ravelry ID is Lisa Jack, JAK78. So it's Lisa JAK78, and that is my Ravelry ID, where you can view pictures of this sweater and the other things I'm going to show you. Okay, so that is what I am wearing. So I think next I'm going to move on to finished objects. Okay. So the big thing that I finished, I can't show you. Because it is blocking. So if you saw my first episode, you saw that I was wearing an incomplete Aurora cardigan by Shiny Superhero, and it was almost done, but I still had a lot of ends to weave in, but I finally got them done. It took me the whole week to finish like all those. Now, I mean, I knit on other things too. I can't sit there and do nothing but weave in ends. I can do like a few at a time, but just, it's like really the only part of knitting that I don't like doing. I love seaming. Seaming is no problem, but weaving in ends, no fun. At least I don't think it's fun. So I did a little bit at a time, and I actually really powered through the last sleeve with my weaving in ends by, like, it was a 4-color cardigan. So because it was intarsia, it is intarsia. And so I divided it up. I said, okay, I'm gonna knit all the orange. I'm gonna weave in all those orange ends. And so that's what I did. I just did the orange ones. And then I only had 3 colors to go. And so then I did all the cream ends. And then it was just down to green and purple. And so I just divided it up that way. Sometimes it's easier for me to do like color like that than it is to just kind of work my way down, and it just feels like it's never gonna end. So that I can't show you because it is blocking and still wet. So it has been blocking for 2 nights now. So since like 11 at night, the night before last. So it's been blocking maybe like 36-ish hours so far. So the front is pretty close to dry. So I flipped it, I unpinned it, and I just pinned it only because I wanted, there's a little bit of a lace design across it that I wanted to see if I could open up a little bit. So I pinned it just kind of loosely. So I took the blocking pins out and I flipped it over because the back was still pretty wet. So I think it's gonna still take another couple days, but after that, I just have buttons to sew on and a cute little label, and then I will have it to show you guys. So yeah, I'm hoping that by my next video, it will be like 100% finished. So I can insert a picture of it blocking here so that you guys can see, if you didn't watch the last episode, what it is that I'm talking about. Okay, so when I wasn't weaving in ends, one of the things that I mentioned last time was that my son Owen loves blue and orange. And so I had picked up in Alabama when I was traveling for some flute activities. I did a little Alabama yarn crawl. I was feeling really bummed that I was traveling on the exact same 4 days as the Long Island yarn crawl and couldn't go. So I just did my own little yarn crawl in Alabama, and I went to like 3, maybe 4 little shops. So one of the things that I picked up was this blue and orange, and I didn't bring the label, but I talked about it last time. It's Cascade, and it is color duo, and it's like 70% baby alpaca and 30% not baby alpaca. I don't remember. I don't remember if it's merino or if it's, yeah, I don't know. Not really sure. But yeah, so it's super soft, and I got the blue and orange because that's Owen's favorite colors. And so what I have made him so far, he was wanting a scarf, and whenever you're gonna knit somebody a scarf, he was complaining that I've not knit him a scarf. So I picked up yarn to knit him a scarf. But I didn't want to just knit him a scarf because I wanted him to have coordinating accessories. So I made him this cute little hat. Look at how cute that is. So it would probably fit me. I don't know, I guess I put it on. I don't know. So yeah, it totally fits me. I knit him the child size. He hasn't seen this yet. There is a adult size, several sizes too. I think there was like baby, toddler, child. So this is a free pattern that I chose. So I'm gonna hold it. Maybe you can see there's like a few inches of ribbing and then like this little pattern going across. So this is a free pattern that I found, and it is called the Bankhead hat. And I wrote down who it is by. Let me just see. I wrote a few things down this time. It is the Bankhead by Susie Gourlay. So this is a free pattern, and I really liked it. For him, I just thought it would be, you know, I wanted something simple for him. I am debating whether or not to add a pom-pom. So still to be decided. But so I got that done, and then I also got one mitten done for him so far, and I just finished this mitten yesterday. And so this pattern, like my hand will kind of fit in here so that you guys can see. It's pretty small on me, but I've got really tiny hands, so it almost fits. So I know that if it fits me on the small side, it should work on him. So this, I just love how there's like a little solid orange section and then a little solid blue stripe up in there. This is the world's simplest mitts pattern by Tin Can Knits, and this is also a free pattern. So this is the child size. So yeah, so I've got one mitten. So I guess you could, as Kristen from Volenvine Yarn says, it's a hoe. Half finished object is a hoe. So I love that she calls them hoes. So I might have to steal that from her. Sorry, Kristen. Sorry, not sorry, but yeah. Yeah, super cute. So I've got in progress finished up. So it's like finished objects, but not like a completed set yet for him. Okay, so why do I do this? Why do I never buy enough yarn? So I have a message on my phone. That means I've got 15 minutes before I have a scheduled phone appointment really quick, so I'm gonna have to take a break and get Owen finished registered for his theater program. So yeah, they do it by phone. So I have a phone appointment at 3 o'clock, and that was my reminder that popped up. Anyway, so do I really think this is gonna be enough to knit him one more mitten and a scarf? It's probably not. Which means I'm gonna have to make another yarn purchase because it does not violate my rules right now. So my knitting rules at the moment are to knit from my stash as much as possible because I have plenty of stash. But I think I'm gonna need another 1 or 2 skeins to get him a scarf. I mean, he's tiny, so I'm hoping that, I mean, this for sure should give me his other mitten and probably a little bit left over. But when I bought him the yarn for the scarf, I bought 2 skeins because I was thinking for a kid's scarf, I'm gonna need more. I don't have the tag, so I don't know the yardage of this, but it's undoubtedly gonna be at least like 400 yards for a child-sized scarf, which is not here. So yeah, I'm afraid that a yarn purchase is gonna have to happen inevitably in the very near future. Because I mean, it's for my son. I have to. He's got a birthday next weekend. He requested a scarf. I can't give him like a half-finished scarf, and like, you know. And I don't think he'll go for a cowl. because that would be like the other possibility would be to like make a cowl. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to make a yarn purchase. Trying not to, but you gotta do what you gotta do when your son is knitworthy. So, all right, so those are some finished objects, and I have one more finished object that I think I can squeeze in before my phone appointment. So the thing that I finished was these socks, and I'm actually gonna fold them the other way. I don't have sock blockers. I mean, I know a lot of podcasters get sock blockers, so maybe it's something that I will ask for Christmas or something. I never felt the need to block my socks because they're just going on your feet, and like socks don't get wrinkled. And I wasn't podcasting, but so now that I'm podcasting, I don't know, maybe I'm gonna have to put it on my Christmas list or something. But these are my socks. I can see why you want sock blockers, because like, all right, so I'll use two hands. So, oh my goodness, how cute are these? All right, this is the first time that I did an Afterthought heel. And now, there are certain things, all right, so the pros and cons, my pros and cons of Afterthought heels. Pro, you get to keep your stripe sequence in stripy socks, right? So that's really awesome. But the con for me was I really missed doing the heel turn. Like I really missed it. There's something magical that happens when you turn that heel, and all of a sudden it's like this three-dimensional thing that you're gonna wear on your foot. It's my absolute favorite part of sock knitting, and I don't mind knitting a heel flap and gusset. It's not one of those things that bothers me. So I'm kind of torn because, all right, I mean, when you do a heel flap and gusset with self-striping yarn, yeah, like it totally messes up your stripe sequence. So, but these fit, but I found it difficult to know exactly how far to go before decreasing for the toe. So they fit. I would say I should have gone like a half a stripe more, maybe, before decreasing for the toe. So I think that's another con for me. It's just like being, and that maybe that's just me. Just it's a new thing, being unsure of the fit. I mean, another pro is it was super easy to execute. So I didn't do a true Afterthought heel where you snip your knitting and then like insert a heel. I wasn't ready to be that brave, especially with this yarn, which is so pretty. So I did the kind of Afterthought heel that I think it was like an Interweave Knits article refers to it as a peasant heel. So what I did was I knit in some waste yarn, and then I went in and I inserted my needle on both ends of the waste yarn, and then picked out the waste yarn, and I put it in that way. So I've still never cut my knitting. I've never done a steek. I have not braved that territory just yet. So one day, I'm not against it. And yeah, so, but yeah, that day was not today. So this yarn is from Knitworthy Things. And I told you last week that she is the yarn, the one yarn subscription that I do. So she has a monthly sock, or like I think you do like 3 months at a time. I think now you can do every month. I don't know. I'm on like an every month I pay for it schedule now. which I think is new. I think before it was only 3 months. But this, I don't think that this was ever in her subscription, but it was a colorway that she released last year that I fell in love with. It is called Sleepy Pumpkin Patch. And then this orange heel is also Knitworthy Things, and this is just an orange, like a bright orange yarn that I picked up to knit some socks for Owen, which I haven't done yet. Because his favorite colors are blue and orange. So I just picked up some solid orange and some solid blue from her. So these are my socks, and I am absolutely in love with them. And next I have this much left over. So the thing that I love right now is that I always have enough left over to get Owen his little, like a little pair of socks for him as well, while his feet are still 6-year-old boy size. I'm just getting used to saying 6. It's like another week till he's 6, but yeah, so he still has tiny feet. So far, out of a 400-yard skein for sock yarn, I can get socks for both me and him. And that's even if I don't use like an alternating color. So yeah, so it's like I get double the bang for my buck with sock yarn right now too, because Owen just loves my hand knit socks. I showed him this, and I showed him the sock I was knitting, and I said, do you want a pair of socks like this too? And he goes, yeah, I do. All right, so speaking of Owen, I need to just take a quick little break because I am expecting a phone call in a few minutes to get him registered for the next season's theater program. So I will be back with some more stuff to show you in a few. Okay, everybody, I am back. Owen is all registered for his next theater show, so I am super excited about that. Okay, so speaking of Owen, I was thinking that it would be kind of fun to have a segment that I might call Knitworthy. Owen is overall, he is a very knitworthy kid. And so I think that for this segment, I'm going to talk about some things that I have knit for other people. It is mostly going to be things that I knit for Owen or my husband, because I found that most other people just don't care, and they're just not as knitworthy. But every once in a while, there might be, like I knit for my nieces on occasion. Yeah, so this is, I'm just gonna call this Knitworthy, and this is gonna be about things that are not selfish knitting for myself, which is mostly what I do. Okay, so I pulled out this sweater of Owen's to show you. He wore it yesterday, and I said, oh, I'm going to talk about that on my podcast. This is another intarsia knit, and I am very, very proud of this one. This was another stop, drop, and knit project, for sure. I'm not going to show it to you just yet. I'm going to talk to you about it a little bit first. So I was browsing some knitting magazines, and one of the magazines that I got, I don't remember if it was the Knitter or Knitting magazine. I think those are both UK publications, and I don't always pick them up, but every once in a while I do. And they, of course, just like we do here, they have their advertising section. And I saw just like in this little column, this picture of this sweater, and my eyes went, that is the cutest little kid sweater that I have ever seen in my whole life. I must know more. So I mean, it wasn't exactly stop, drop, and knit because it took me a while to gather the materials and everything, but it was a like stop, drop, and as soon as I saw it, I knew I was going to knit it. And then I got busy collecting my materials. So this is a kid's sweater by Erica Knight, and she designed it so that there are 2 color options. So there's one that is geared more towards boys, and there's ones that are like pinks and purples geared more towards girls. But of course, I mean, you can choose any colors you want, or if your kid, like Owen loves wearing like pink sparkly nail polish and all the girl things. So if he had wanted those colors, I would have knit him the girl colors, like whatever he wants, basically. But he likes blue and orange. And so I went with the exact same colors that I saw, because I figured I was gonna be ordering yarn for this project. So I loved it how I saw it. So this is the sweater. How cute, I'm gonna just back up a little bit here. How cute is the sweater? So this sweater is called Splash, and it is intarsia, and it's actually knit with cotton, which is maybe not like the easiest thing to do color work in, but it works really well. There are so many things I love about this sweater. This is the size 4 to 5T. So I knit this for him a year ago. So this was completed October 2019, and I made him wear it for his school pictures. My goal is that every time he has a school picture, that he has a hand knit sweater for it. So this is the one that I knit specifically like for him to wear for school pictures. So the front of the sweater is a complicated chart pattern that seemed like it took forever. Now, I didn't do it perfectly. There were places where I would get off somehow, and I wouldn't know how I got off because I was like following the chart. I mean, I thought I was. But then I wasn't too worried about it because, I mean, you can't tell with something like a camo pattern if like you're actually accurate or not. And then the back of it is a solid orange, but I love how the hem is like on the back, it's solid almost all the way, right? In that beautiful teal. And then it's striped for the remainder of the hem, which goes around the front. And then the sleeves too are so cute. It's a raglan style, and so this is like a solid gray sleeve over here, and then this one has the orange stripe, and then on the back is just this cute little faux tag detail, which is just the cutest. So this, I am so proud of this. This was like my first big intarsia project, and I'm gonna flip it inside out just so I can show you. It didn't start out perfectly. I have this thing with sometimes when I start an intarsia project, I forget that there's a different way to work with the yarn, and I immediately do it like regular color work, like catching floats and stuff. And so you can see like that's what I was doing at first, until I reminded myself, oh wait, silly, you need to make all those little tiny balls of yarn so that they don't get all tangled, and that, you know, you're just, yeah, section to section. So yeah, so this is what the inside of mine looks like. So there's a few places where I did a little bit of carrying, but most of it is just a single layer of color. Yeah, so he likes this sweater. He doesn't wear it all the time. I do have to remind him to wear his knits, but when I present him with a knit, he puts it on immediately, even if it's like an hour before bedtime. He just puts it on. So this is Splash, and this, all right, so the yarn I used was Erica Knight as well. I just went with what she used for her pattern because I just loved how it came out. And again, I have all my leftovers in a bag with snowman on it. But it is called, so I'll just take this label here. It's called Gossypian cotton, and it is 50 grams of 100% cotton. And yeah. So apparently it's like a selection of the highest quality of raw cotton fiber from plants in the fields from a mill in Haryana, India. So yeah, so this is Erica Knight's product. And all right, I had a lot extra. So I don't know that she had anybody actually like test knit this. I think I was actually like the first person to knit this pattern, at least that I could see on Ravelry. But I have left over 2 teal plus like this much. I have a complete ball of this, I don't know, I think that the teal is called, they all have fun names. The teal color is called Paddle. This one is called Porpoise. And this is like it's like a lighter gray tan. It's kind of like, it's not exactly gray, but it's not exactly tan either. So Porpoise. So I like the name of that. And then, so I have a complete skein of that plus like a partial skein. Like it's not even half a skein, but certainly extra. And then this color, the dark gray, is called Mouse, I think. I don't have any orange left. It's funny, in like all of my knits that I do, the orange is like the one to go. And then I showed you last week, but Owen's little mouse doll, this Bonnie Wee mouse pattern, so cute. So I knit him. I still have this much left of the, I think this one's called Monster, if I remember correctly. So I was able to knit this guy, and I still have this much left. So there were plenty of leftovers. And that was, I just ordered what was recommended exactly for the size 4 to 5T. So it's more than enough. I probably, obviously didn't need to order as much as I did, but I wouldn't have really known that. So yeah, I guess with the big time designers, they don't necessarily have people, like a whole wide variety of people test knitting their patterns. So I guess it's mostly just estimates. All right, so that is Splash. And I've got 3:30. Okay, so I still have a half hour before Owen will be getting home from school. So this guy is about to have to go to the bus stop soon, along with Bunny. So I figure they can kind of sort of be my mascots along here with me. Yeah, Bunny and Mouse have requested a friend. They have requested a cat. So I have been starting to look through patterns of little stuffed cats. So there's one that has caught my eye that I think is the one I'm gonna do, and it's called, I think it's called like Sleeping Kitty or Sleeping Cat or something, and it is by Susan B. Anthony, or is it Anderson? Why can't I always want to say Susan B. Anthony because of that. Susan B. Anderson. Yeah. So, and she does all the kits for the Barrett Will Company, and I love her stuffies. They're so cute. Yeah, so potentially gonna knit these guys a friend, and then, but I mean, Bunny and Mouse are so cute. Like, are they gonna get overshadowed if we bring like a cat into the mix? I don't know. We'll have to see. So that's like a potential project. So let me set these guys back down. All right, whips. One whip that I have had on the needles for a long time. I mean, quite a long time, since the summer. I mean, all right. So this is an ongoing project, and you'll see why it has, I think the mohair is making me a little bit itchy. Sorry about that. Okay, so one thing that is a whip is this little sweater. So this is called All the Lights, and it is a cardigan by Joji Locatelli. And so let's see if I can. Oh, I already connected the arms, so I can't actually try this on. But so the way that this works is, so this is the front, and this is basically all I have done are the shoulders. So, but it's gonna be pretty long, and it's gonna have pockets. I mean, it's gonna be all the way like down to like here, I think. So I have a ways to go with this thing. This is a really fun knit, but it is not a mindless knit. It's not hard, but I need to have my chart, like all my different charts, because there's charts, and then I have to have my instructions. So I have to have like both my phone and my iPad open so that I can, like, because it's like two rows that repeat, but within the 2 rows that repeat, you've got to follow like specific charts. And so you're reading like 3 or 4 different charts at the same time for each of these different sections. So it's just, I can't just knit on this whenever. Like I really have to be in the mood, but it is so pretty. I'm going to show you the back, because the back was the part I think I did first. So there's like a big cable section in the middle, and then on each side of the cable section is a lace pattern with some bobbles in it. And then there is like a little, I think it's called a texture stitch. I think that's what that one is there. And then there is, oh my goodness, this is hard to show. And then there is an Aran pattern for the next section. And then again, like the texture stitch on the other side of that. And then, so that happens on both sides. And then on the front panels, we have a braid that is happening like at the part where it opens before the button band. I think that there's a button band on this one. I don't even remember. So there's that nice braid. So it's just, there's so much texture in this piece. And then, so I'm not really in a rush to finish this one. I think that the colors that I chose, which I'll tell you about the yarn in a minute, but it's reminding me of spring more than winter. So I kind of want to just maybe put another repeat of the chart on maybe every week, maybe another 2, I don't know. I haven't picked it up though in at least a month. So, I mean, this was a lot. I mean, this was a lot of hours and a lot of knitting, but I did just get to the point where you connect under the armholes. So basically now, instead of it being, so you knit like the shoulders and then the back and then the front panels, and now it's all gonna be like back and forth across one longer, you know, across like the whole body, not just like front panels back, but like everything is now connected together. But that's a lot. It's going to be a lot of knitting and just a lot of concentrating. But it has pockets. So this has pockets. And so, yeah, so this is like going to be a whip that I don't know if I will pull it out to show you every single week, because I probably won't be working on it every single week, but I'm going to try to put some more mileage on it every now and then and have it to show you. So before I put this away, let me just tell you about the yarn that I'm using for it. And so I also got this right before quarantine started from my local yarn store, like right before I went to Alabama. So this is, it's a DK yarn. It is Ba Sonoma, and this is the color Yellow Jacket. Also not purple. Have you guys noticed a theme? I have like, my favorite color is purple, but basically the things I have been showing you overall have not been purple, except for my hat over there, which I'll pull out in a second. Yeah, but this is so pretty. I mean, so basically it's like a pale yellow and gray. So it's like a grello color, but there's like all these specks in it. Like there's teal specks and pink specks and brighter orangey yellow specks. So yeah, so I just thought, I mean, the name Yellow Jacket, obviously, like I bought it in the spring. It just is screaming like spring cardigan to me. So that's kind of my goal with this, is to maybe have it done sometime by the spring where it's still chilly enough to throw on a sweater, but not like this is not winter colors. So I don't really picture me wearing this during like the fall, autumn, or heavy winter months. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking spring. All right, so that is that whip. And then, I mean, basically most of the whips that I was working on this week, I showed you already in the finished objects pile. So, my yarn ball fell out and is rolling across the floor. Whoops. All right. So I'll get this one back in here. I'm dropping everything. I have this. So I'm not supposed to tell anybody, but my yarn shop gave me the yarn crawl bag, even though I left town. So I bought this basically the day before the yarn crawl started, the day before I left town for Alabama. And they were like, don't tell anybody, but we're going to give you this bag. I said, okay, I won't tell anybody. So now I'm telling all of you on my podcast. That's okay. Okay. So, all right. I mentioned last time that every now and then I experiment with natural dyeing. Okay, so I thought, since I had an actual whip from something that I naturally dyed myself, that I would bring it out and talk about it today. So that's what I'm gonna do. So basically what I'm gonna do is insert a ton of pictures, because I did this like when Owen was in preschool. And now he's in first grade. So this was easily something that I did 2 years ago. And I do have a whip going on with it. But let me tell you about the yarn first. So I'm really interested in dyeing, but I don't have space in my current living situation to really go hardcore with dyeing or anything. And with kids around, I didn't want to have anything that was going to be toxic. But the idea of dyeing with like plants and food materials was like really appealing to me. So one day I sent my husband to the store, because he does all the grocery shopping, and I asked him to bring back some red cabbage. So let me just tell you that when you cook red cabbage, we're not like cabbage eaters here. So, I mean, I didn't know. It stunk up the house cooking that cabbage. But I'm gonna insert the pictures from that because the color was so beautiful. I'm gonna see if I can remember my dye process. So red cabbage does not have tannins, and tannins are what helps the color to adhere to fiber materials. You know, I'm not an expert in this. I've only done like a little bit of experimenting here and there. So I'm trying to remember what I used I basically had to treat the water, I had to do an alum bath, which was to like prep the water for the dyeing so that the color would stick to the wool as best as possible. So I had to put in, oh gosh, I might just add it in like in some text here so that I don't get anything wrong. There were two things that I added, like in a alum sulfate maybe, and God, it's been a while since I've done this. And I don't know if it was citric acid or, all right, I'm gonna just insert here because I can't remember and I know I'm gonna say something wrong. So basically like I made the bath that you have to like pre-treat. And so like you make the bath and you wash your wool first, and then you let your wool sit in the bath that you've treated with this water that you've like boiled and whatever after it's cooled down. And then you prepare your dye bath. So I cooked the cabbage, and then you drain out all the food particles, and you are left with color from the cabbage. And so I ended up with like a beautiful deep like magenta kind of color. I want to say that the color was similar to that of this pom-pom. Okay. Now, because it's not like a dye with like vinegar or anything, it's just a natural material. When you rinse it to clean it, you lose a lot of that bright, vibrant color. But what I ended up with, let me get this one, was like a purple, which I was not sad about because now it's gonna be, yeah, you can kind of see the color pretty well. And so I ended up with like almost like a very like an ombre between. So I dyed 3 skeins of the patterns. So this is just some inexpensive wool that I got at Michael's. So I got like it wasn't like a bright white, but it was like a beige, not a beige, but like a cream colored off-white, I guess like an off-white. So you can kind of see like how purple that still is. So this is just my like really bad job at rolling a skein out of myself. But so this one looks like that. And so it's kind of like a purple with like a little bit of maybe a bluish tint. And there are some spots that are darker and some spots that are a little bit lighter. And you'll really be able to see the difference in the 3 skein. Like even this one has like over here, I don't know how well you can see, but like a little bit of a pinkish tint over there. So I'm like 1.5 skeins into my project. And so what I started knitting was the Full Circle Cowl by Andrea Mowry. And this was like a pattern that she wrote before she became like a super big deal. So it doesn't have like quite as many projects in Ravelry as like most of her other knits do. But so this is gonna be like, so you can even see like there's a big difference in the shades between these 2 skeins. There's like a clear, like down here was 1 skein that I knit up, and it's much lighter than this next one in the middle. So I didn't alternate or anything. I just, I don't know. That's just what I did. But this is like a really easy cable pattern. But I mean, it's 600 yards. So I've been working on this very on and off, mostly off. Look at that big difference in color there. But Pattons isn't like my favorite wool, and I'm like a little bit concerned that it might be scratchy. around my neck. But, so I guess like after, so it's like you knit it in the round, and then I guess what you do after you have it, so it's gonna be like a tall tube. I think what you do is you basically like seam it together. So it's probably gonna be about like this size. I'm really not exactly clear, but this is gonna be some kind of cowl, and it's gonna be with my very first hand dyed yarn. So I just thought that, you know, that would be kind of cool. So that's an ongoing whip that I have from that. And so I've dyed with some other fun things too. So every once in a while I will tell you about a dyeing project that I have done in the past, and maybe I'll do one again sometime and document the process on podcast for you. Yeah, so that is my very first experiment with natural dyeing, and I'm really pleased with the color that I got. I mean, cabbage isn't really known to have like that deep a color. And, you know, of course, then there's also, I guess, when you don't have the tannins to help set the color so much, especially with the natural dyed products, the sunlight, I guess maybe eventually over time can perhaps change the color. It could fade. So I haven't had it out in the sunlight at all yet, so I have no idea, you know, how accurate that is or anything. Yeah, so I have one more little segment for today. I want to always try to have a spinning segment. I did not do any spinning this week, but if you did not see the very end of my first podcast, I finished my hat. So last time I showed you my hat without the pom-pom, and then I went shopping for a pom-pom, and then at the very end of the last podcast, I put it on, and yeah, I showed you guys. So this is my very first hand-spun hat out of a Targhee fiber, and with this gorgeous pom-pom that I picked up last week. And so I am like so ridiculously pleased with how this turned out. So I'm just gonna leave that on for a minute. Now, I did hope to have some mitts to go with it to show you guys, but everything that I can tell from browsing patterns, like the 37 remaining yards that I have is, you know, I've got another little bundle. Here we go. It's not going to be close at all to make mitts. So I'm trying to figure out, you know, when I knit hats for my son, I've been doing those little, except for the one that I just did, mostly I've been knitting him those little top this hats that come with, you know, like, it's like DC yarn, or what is it called? I don't remember. But they've got those cute little pom-poms that are like the animals, like raccoon. He has a raccoon, he's got a bumblebee, he's got a Santa one that I did. So it's like a little like self-striping variegated yarn. And it comes with a little pom-pom. And so he's always had a little bit of that yarn left over. So what I usually do is when I make him coordinating mittens, I'll take that yarn and I'll do like the cuff part of the mitten, and then I'll just find something that coordinates with it for like the main hand part of the mitten. So I'm kind of thinking that that's probably what I'm gonna do. And so I just thought for the last thing today, I would show you, oh, I've got something on my shirt. I would show you another long-term spinning project that has been abandoned for way too long. So this is technically my second ever hand spun yarn, and we're still in the spinning process. So I'm gonna take off my hat for a minute here. All right, so this is, I don't remember the colorway, but I believe it's Frabjous Fibers fiber. And, oh, what fiber is it? I was looking for the tag and I couldn't find it. It's gonna come to me. I'll put it in here if I can't think of it. But it's not Targi. Oh, it's Blue-Faced Leicester. I think that's how you say it, Leicester. Leicester, I don't know. It's the Blue-Faced Leicester fiber. And so this is so pretty. And so, yeah, I've got like this much left still, which is gonna take forever because I'm slow. But this is what I have so far. You can just see the difference though between, so this was my first hand spun, which turns out like really bulky. Okay, so this is obviously, it's plied together because this is a completed yarn. And this one is not yet plied. So this is like my singles. Look at how much more thin I've been spinning. And so this is all on the drop spindle. So, I mean, it's still like a thick and thin, but overall, it's a much thinner yarn than my first hand spun. And so I have like these two singles so far. I just love the color. It's so pretty. The reason why I have two drop spindles with this yarn on it is because Owen wanted me to show him how to spin. And so I just brought the little one, and he wasn't doing it on his own, but he was twirling while I was doing the drafting. So I've just been kind of like trying to fill up both of these. And this spindle I got at Maryland Sheep and Wool last year. And I don't remember where I got it from. I'll have to go back and check on my Instagram for the name of who makes this spindle, but it is super pretty. It's like orange and like a purple right there. And then this one is like a purple. I don't know what kind of wood it is, but you can tell I like purple. Yeah, so they're a little bit different sizes, but I'm having success with both of them. And so now that I have put this on the podcast, I am going to do some spinning this week. So hopefully I will have some more to show you next time. And you guys, oh my goodness. My son is about to be home. Let's see. I've got like maybe 5 or 10 minutes more before he's gonna be home. All right, I need to see what is it. I don't have any acquisitions for you this week, but I like as far as yarn or pom-poms or fun things go, but where is it? I wrote it down. I did just purchase a pattern, so I wanted to tell you what pattern I purchased, and because now I need to cast on something. Yeah, I need another sweater project, and I know that All the Lights cardigan is just going to be like a very long-term one, so I need a sweater project that is going to be mostly like relaxing to knit, not too complicated. And I saw today that Isabel Kramer released a brand new pattern, so I'm going to insert a picture of it here because I've already purchased it, and now I just need to dig through my stash and figure out if I have enough yarn to make it. It is called Forager, and it is with DK yarn, and I mean, I'm going to insert a picture so that you can see it. But it's like a really simple sweater with like this little tiny like cable strip down the front, and maybe down like each of the sleeves too. I can't exactly remember, but it's one of these timeless pieces that, you know, it's not at all trendy. That, you know, sometimes it's like really fun to knit some trendy pieces every once in a while, but overall, like, you spend all of this time knitting a sweater and a garment, and you want to be able to wear it year after year and feel really like good in it year after year, and not like, oh, that's gonna go out of style. So I think if I can find the yarn for that in my stash, I cannot purchase yarn right now. It is like, aside from like if I need to get another skein to complete Owen's scarf, it's 4 o'clock. I'm down to like a minute here before Owen comes in. Yeah, aside from buying the yarn to finish his scarf, I cannot purchase yarn right now. I have plenty in my stash. Owen's birthday is next week. Christmas is coming up, and then I'm about to be off from my main job at my college, teaching flute at my college, until like the end of January, which means no paychecks. So, which is really bad for everything when I don't get a paycheck from half of my teaching responsibilities. So yeah, so that's about to happen again, which is no fun. So yeah, so I will not be purchasing yarn. So if I can find the yarn in my stash, that is going to be something that I cast on right away, like a stop, drop, and knit. I think I always need to have a stop, drop, and knit project now. So I think Forager by, is that what it's called? Yeah, Forager by Isabel Kramer might be my next stop, drop, and knit. But I also do have a couple of worsted weight projects in my stash already that have been just waiting for me to find the right time. And now with the weather starting to finally get cooler, I think now I should cast on a worsted weight sweater, because I do a lot of fingering weight. And there's only like a few months out of the year where it's really, really cold enough here to wear a worsted weight sweater. So my 2 choices are the Weekender by Andrea Mowry and the boxy worsted weight version by Joji Locatelli. So I think that one of those 2 things, and I'll pop in pictures of them here. I've got yarn already set aside for both of those projects, so it's just a matter of me actually deciding which one I'm gonna do and casting it on. And I think that I don't yet have the pattern for the Weekender, so I think that the one that I'll probably end up casting on, because I have the pattern for it already, is the boxy. So maybe I'll have a couple of new cast-ons to share with you next week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Not only this episode, but the first episode, if you've watched that, for subscribing. You guys can see this is another long episode. I like to talk about my knitting. So last week I wasn't really sure how often I was going to podcast or if I was going to really do it, but it's becoming quite clear to me that I like talking about my knitting and yarn and all things that go along with that. So this podcast is going to be here to stay. I am going to try to have regular weekly updates. So I'm going to try to record by Friday so that I can have something go up for you guys, like maybe overnight Saturday. That seemed to be a good time. I think I posted it Saturday night before I went to bed, and then I woke up on Sunday morning and announced my podcast. And yeah, so that's my plan this weekend. So if you're watching this, happy Sunday or whatnot, because it is already halfway through the weekend. And thank you. Please subscribe. Please leave me comments. What do you want to see more of? What do you want to see less of? Have you knit the Love Note sweater? Have you knit any of these projects that I have shown you today? Yeah, tell me something about yourself. I love getting the comments. I have just a few up there so far, but it means the world to me. I get so excited every time I get a comment. So please subscribe, please comment, and just thank you so much. I will be back for sure in a week, and I might try to sneak in maybe not a regular episode midweek around Wednesday, but I'm hoping that I can film about my Aurora cardigan in some detail once that is like completely finished. So I kind of want to give that its own special little video. So that might be like a little midweek thing that you guys can look forward to. So no promises on that, but we'll see. All right, Owen is about to walk in the door, and so I am out of here. Time to go do some mom stuff. All right, bye.